Welcome to this 20th session of TIE Institute. We had a wonderful pitching session last week. Today we are here to learn how to get funded by angels and what they look for. We have Professor Sean Wise, who is Professor Entrepreneurship and Strategy and Angel Investor, as well as Chair of Ryerson Angel Network. We're delighted to have such a great panel, and I'm also very happy that Sean has agreed to moderate the session. Sean brings experience and expertise to Ted Rogers School of Management before receiving his law and MBA degree at University of Ottawa. Sean studied engineering and economics at Carleton University. For the past 8 years, he has lectured at over 100 boot camps, financing forums, and industry conferences. He is dedicated to the training of entrepreneurs and has succeeded in training more than 3,000 people. He has helped found Ernst & Young Venture Capital Advisory Group and now undertakes selective engagement from young companies looking for strategic guidance on capital raising and growth through the Person Consultancy. He mentors the Globe and he also writes in Globe and Mail. He's written and published Best of Collection entitled Wise Words, Lessons in Entrepreneurship and Venture Capital Volume 1. And most wonderfully, he's also the industry advisor and online host of CBC's popular television show Dragon's Den. Sean, we couldn't have asked for a better moderator. Please take over. Thank
you. Thank you very much. It's nice to be here. I've been part of this organization on and off for a number of years, and I'm always delighted to see the quality of the participants. I want to get to know the audience a little bit because there will be some level setting in this opening conversation, which I'll dub Angel 101. So how many people are entrepreneurs? Hands up. How many people are currently or will be looking in the next 6 months for external financing? And how many people have revenue? Good. Good. And how many people have raised financings before? Great. And how many people have had a successful exit, meaning you've made more than $10 or $20 million? That's great. So you can take over now, sir. Let you go from here.
I did not know you were saying 20.
Oh no, now we're all going to ask you for money later on, sir. Not to worry. You're the $20 million man from here. So my name is Dr. Sean Wise. I'm a professor of entrepreneurship just down the street at the Ted Rogers School. And I'm here to talk about the rise of the angel investor. Many people have written about the last 18 months, 24 months, talking about how much it is inexpensive to launch a product today. When I started off in venture capital back in 1997, almost a millennium ago it seems. Wow, tough audience. Launching a product was $5 million. You'd have to build the software, test it, get quality assurance, build the infrastructure, line up a huge national marketing campaign, and if you were lucky, you became AOL.com, and if you were unlucky, you became Pets.com. But the idea was that it took a lot of money to get to market. About 2005, the Kauffman Foundation revisited this, and they found out the same launch now took $500,000. And then in 2011, the Kauffman Foundation updated their survey and found that the exact same undertaking, launching a product today as opposed to 5, 10, or 15 years ago, was down to under $50,000. So for $50,000 today, you can test a great number of software-based, digital-based, mobile-based startups. And that allows you to get to market faster. What it also does, it allows different people to fund your venture. When I started in venture capital, I was doing 2 million deals and above. That was all we would look at as professional venture capitalists. And angels were doing 200,000, 300,000, because that's what it took to get proof of concept. That's what it took to get people to do more than just believe in you. But that number shifted, and that's allowed us to raise capital from a variety of sources. So one of the things that I'm happy to tell you today is it's a great time to be an entrepreneur. It's a great time to be looking for seed capital. It's a great time to be trying before you buy. If these people aren't the type of people you want to work with, or they don't want to invest in you, there are other alternatives that never existed when we were coming up. Right? Whether it be Kickstarter and crowdfunding, or whether it be AngelList and using the Craigslist of finance, there are options. So I'm going to today talk about a number of things primarily around the rise of angels in Canada. So we'll do a little introduction, give you some basic terms. For some people, they're going to be basic. For our $20 million man, you can nap, because I'm not going to teach you a lot. And we're going to talk about the difference between angel investors and venture capitalists, or what I like to say, moving from heaven to hell. Some facts and figures about the industry, courtesy of some of our government and not-for-profit groups, and then alternatives for you to consider. But all of that doesn't really matter, because in the end, every deal is one-on-one. When you pitch an angel investor, they're investing in you, in your vision, and in your product. So whether the numbers say yes or the numbers say no, you have to build that relationship. So I would urge you not to listen to me as much, but to listen to the people writing the checks, listen to what they're talking about, listen to what they're not saying, and listen to what they're trying to get across. People always ask me, how do you know when an investor says no? And I always say the same thing. When they're not writing you a check, it's still a no. So if they say, call me back, or I got to check with my partners, or we got some more due diligence, it's still a no. So if you want to know what's a yes, hopefully we'll enlighten you a little bit. So my background is as a venture capitalist. I had entrepreneurial ventures starting as young as 13. I'm 42 now. I've had 5 startups, 3 exits, probably 2 successes, and 1 I would talk about. Worked in venture capital for a long time. I was working with CBC on Dragon's Den. They told me I had a face for radio. They were right. That's why I'm here. I've written a number of books. My latest book, Hot or Not, How to Know If Your Idea Sucks, is based on 5 years of Dragon's Den and 2 years of Shark Tank, and trying to get people to understand that good entrepreneurs can't let other good entrepreneurs build crappy ideas. That you have to spend your energy on good, proven, customer-facing solutions, not what you think they want, but what they really want. And how to get there is one of the things that we talk about. I work at Ryerson, which is Canada's largest undergraduate business school. We have a number of organizations. The Ryerson Angel Network is one of them. I invite you all to walk down the street and check it out. It's a lot of fun. We also at the Ryerson have the Ryerson Angel Network, which was founded a number of years ago. I took it over in the spring. In our first 9 months, we've invested $2.2 million in 3 Ryerson deals. We define a Ryerson deal as anything close to Ryerson. If you walk by, we'll call you a deal. If you're a student, faculty, alumni, living on the corner, we'll be happy to embrace you at the Ryerson Angel Network. I want to talk a little bit about the basics. And one of the first things that I have to do is tell you that the news I'm going to share with you may not make you happy. This may not be what you want to hear, but it will save you some time and some energy. So my sister wants angel money for her bead business. She makes beautiful bead bracelets, charges about $100, makes them by hand. They're lovely. But they're not scalable, they're not replicable, they have an issue with a key man, and they're not fundable. Because people often make the mistake of a small and medium-sized enterprise and a startup. A small and medium-sized enterprise is the backbone of this country. It's every dry cleaners and Max Milk, every mom and pop restaurant, and it's wonderful. There is nothing wrong with running a SME. Right? You'll never get Justin Bieber rich, but you'll be able to contribute, and maybe you don't need to be Justin Bieber rich. Where people get in trouble is they try to raise money for SMEs thinking they're a startup. So what's the difference? Well, a small and medium-sized enterprise, yeah, it has less than 25 employees, and most startups have less than 25 employees. A SME can be new, young, you may just open the restaurant, but most startups are new. The goals, of course, are a little different. Most small and medium-sized enterprises focus on sustainable employment, steady growth, often family-owned, where startups are typically these obsessive, binary success or failures, changing the world, making $100 million, getting everyone to know what the word Twitter means, right? They run as a different model, often local, often service-oriented, as opposed to intellectual property-driven and software-managed. It's a big thing because a lot of people want to know why you can't fund a travel agency or a restaurant. And it's simple. If you're going to make 10 investments in your lifetime as an angel, and 8 of them are going to die, then the 2 that remain have to be of such a type that they make up for all the ones that didn't. And another dry cleaner chain won't. Maybe it's a 500 dry cleaner chain, and it's taking dry cleaners to northern China where they don't have any. But generally, angels, VCs, private equity, they typically look for startups. Right? They're not looking to build out another antique store. And that makes people unhappy because people like my sister, they want Dragon's money, but they don't have Dragon businesses. Most people don't realize that the #1 source of funding of SMEs and startups is yourself. Friends and family, put money away a little at a time, Right? SMEs often can turn to bank loans because they have assets and physical goods. Startups can never. And as a result, startups are really in that space where friends and family goes right to angel investing. So there is a spectrum of finance. This isn't something genius, trust me. If you graph on the y-axis the risk assumed, right, where here is high risk and here is low risk. And on the bottom, the x-axis, if you list the stage of the business, a seed business, a startup, an early growth. What I mean by seed, it's just the concept. The first code may be written. Maybe it's just a logo and a business plan. Startup, you've got that beta product, that minimum viable product. You're actually testing to see that someone cares other than you. Early growth, when you're trying to scale up and move from a dozen sales to 12,000 sales. And established is when most banks want to invest in you. Right? Now, do we have any bankers here? Okay, good. So I was on stage with a banker, and they said to us, we're early stage investors. If you've got $10 million in assets and $5 million in revenue, we're ready to loan you money. And they don't get that. That may be early stage to the bank, but that's not where you are. You're at the point where you're here. You're the ones who believe, and everyone else isn't so sure. You've got to get help to get over here. And it's not just money. Money doesn't solve most problems. It's strategic help. Being introduced to the right people who can help you do your books, whether it be Deloitte & Touche or a retired CA. Getting people to help you with introductions. How about getting the angels to give you advice and guidance, to give pushback, so that you benefit from their business knowledge, not just their cash. There's a role to be played in the ecosystem, and for me, that role for business angels is after friends and family, and before large-scale venture capital. Right? You should not be going to VCs for $2 to $3 million until you know how much it costs to get you customers, until you know how much it costs to build a product. Right? You have to go to the angels when you have some of those information, and you're looking for strategic advice, people who've been there and done that. Now, this all changes, of course. As the amount needed to launch businesses goes down, the people available go up. There's another benefit to it. It's probably the best benefit I can ever tell you. If you take VC money, then you must have VC returns. Meaning, I can't get out of a deal that I invested $5 million in for less than $50 to $100 million, or it's a loss. But if you've only taken in $500,000 from a group of strategic angels, then you only need to exit at $5, $10, or $20 million to make everyone happy. Taking less money gives you more exits. Gives you more exits, gives you more opportunity for finance. That's the biggest change that's going on now. You no longer have to just put up an idea. You have to show that someone cares about that idea, and you've got to match the source, where you're getting the money from where you are. Yes, if you've got $20 million in incoming revenue and you want to expand into the United States, most banks will help you. But if you've got a dream, a prototype, and 2,000 customers dying to sign up, well, maybe you need to be looking in this space. Angel investors tend to be high net worth individuals investing capital on their own. Right? That's different than venture capitalists. We often invest other people's money. Yes, in every fund that I've been a part of, I have some of my money in there. I was at Spencer Trask, the fund behind Edison and GE and a bunch of therapeutics, and my money was this small and their money was this big. But angels, it's not like that. Right? Angels are using their own capital, their own hard-earned capital. Right? They also have a different due diligence process. I have a committee that I have to answer to in a venture capital fund. They have spouses they have to answer to, children they have to answer to, because they're spending their inheritance. Right? They're spending their hard-earned money on your ideas. It's different. It's not just about later stage rounds. It's about trickier terms, more professional side investing. It doesn't make it any better. It actually can make it worse. You have to think where you are and what you need to move forward. Right? Some facts. These are not my facts. I am liberally stealing from the National Angel Capital Organization. If you wish to know more about the National Angel Capital Organization, I introduce you to my friend Google, and you can just type in National Angel Capital Organization. 63% of angel groups established since 2008. What does that even mean? Oh, most of the angel groups in Canada are pre-2008. Right, 134 investments were made in 2011. 45% of these groups typically receive more than 100 businesses planned. So of our group, the Ryerson Angel Network, we would get a couple hundred applications. We would then narrow it down to those that deserve review. We'd bring them in front of the angels, line them up, and they would go forward. Our plan at the Ryerson Angel Network is a little different. Most groups have a monthly meeting or a bi-monthly meeting. We do it much more matchmaking because we have student labor, which which means we can do a lot more hands-on. Some slides about the value of investments in Canada. Again, all publicly available, not mine. Right, this is a great little infographic talking about the American angel investor and some of the stats behind them, the age, where they got their money. And again, I believe that our guest is going to make these slides available, so don't feel like you have to write them all down. This is a wonderful slide that came out that talks about what gets funded where. The gold is ICT, which for layman may be more communications technology, mobile, digital software. And you can see the breakout across the country. Again, I started this conversation by saying it now takes less to get farther, less capital to get farther in the market, which means you have more options. I love angels. I've been part of the Toronto Angel Group since it was first founded. I'm a very active member in the entrepreneurship scene. This is a wonderful resource. But there are more options today. Angel List, which is sort of a Craigslist, but with angel investors, it's a little less creepy. You can list your startup. It's a not-for-profit business. You can get information on there. You can do research and data mine. There are a lot of deals going on like this. This is not a trading platform where they're trying to get 2%. This is President Obama asking Silicon Valley to fix the American capital issue. Kickstarter, fabulous. Kickstarter is about selling products that don't exist to customers who didn't know they wanted something. Right? Give me $50 now, so will 1,000 other people. Then I'll have $50,000 and I can build the world's first invisible pen. Right? And I'll use my invisible pen like this. You give me $100 now, then in 12 months I'll send you my invisible pen, here cash. Right? And it has a whole variety of impacts. But one of the best things came about it from a guy named Mark Cuban. And he said the best thing about Kickstarter isn't the money, it's the customers. Right? Pebble, the watch that talks to your iPhone. Steve Jobs, oh, no one wants an iPhone watch. Right? They put it up, we're trying to raise $500,000 to make an iPhone watch, a smartwatch. $10 million in funding later, they close it, and they're still trying to ship them. Because the orders were so overwhelming. What does Mark Cuban say? He says, this proves there's a demand. You don't need me to tell you there's a demand or to guess if there's a demand. You already have orders. Now let's go fulfill them. Angel List, Kickstarter. And lastly, there are accelerators, there are incubators. These are the little farm team setups. At Ryerson, we have a great one called the Digital Media Zone. We've just doubled in size. We're now 40,000 square feet. For the last 3 years, we've been working on this. We've got 47 teams, 484 jobs created, and 90 projects underway. But we are just one of a larger ecosystem. U of T and Mars with Jolt, Velocity, the next 36, Extreme Startups, Year One Labs. Even what you're doing today is about community-powered capital. It's about leveraging people's experience so that you can learn faster, move better, and take your ideas to fruition. Being an entrepreneur is a really hard job. Bringing a product to market is really hard. You want to make it easier by teaming up with people who can bring assets that you don't currently have. If you have any questions, or if you wanted to see if I could talk this fast for this long, you can email me at seanwise@ryerson.ca.